Lovely stuff. Hello and welcome back to the Barrett channel today for a brand new video. As you can tell, today I'm not my I'd say usual bubbly self. You know, as I opened up with on the introduction video, I did not say, well, I did say that not every video is going to be me putting on a facade of a good mood and, oh, hey guys, blah, blah, blah. No, you know, there's too much of that, far too much of that on YouTube, and I'm not going to be contributing to that. Today, you might be able to see around me and hear around me that I am in a park. It took me about 30 minutes to ride here on my electric bike, and that's actually why I've got hair sticking up all over the place from the wind pushing it up. Looks kind of funny, I know. These, I don't know what sort of insects they are, but they are making a hell of a lot of noise. But yeah, anyway, hopefully you can hear me. I'll hold my camera a little closer. So today's video, you probably know by the title of it by now. I've not been in a good mood today, and yesterday for that matter. And I want to talk to you about a couple of things that I, like to do if I'm in a bad mood to try and alleviate those feelings, those negative emotions. I'm going to walk over there, that looks quite nice. Yeah, to try and alleviate those negative emotions. We all have bad moods from time to time. It's a totally normal thing. Mood's a funny thing. It can really change very quickly. You can have something good happen to you and it'll make you buzzing. You'll be in a good mood for a day, 2 days, a week. But you can almost guarantee after a week, from personal experience anyway, after a week, there's going to become a time where, at least for a few hours or whatever, you're going to have a bad mood. And that's just totally normal. But it's up to you whether you wallow in your bad mood and make it worse for yourself, and then in turn make it worse for other people around you. That sounds kind of harsh, but it's true. Or you try and take it in its grasp and try and sort of change things around a bit. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just going to kind of talk about a couple of things that I like to do to try and turn around a bad mood, or at least kind of suppress it a little bit. I don't mean suppress it in a way that you just want to ignore it, because that's kind of the opposite of what you want to do. You want to acknowledge it, I think anyway. You want to acknowledge it for what it is and realize that it's a very normal thing, I think some people get stuck in their own minds that having a bad mood is not something that you should feel, especially if you're in like a fortunate position. For example, me at the moment, I'm enjoying my life at the moment. Things are progressing. I'm having a lot of experiences. I'm learning new things. So I kind of feel a little bit of an imposter, I guess, when I'm having a bad mood. And it's important to acknowledge that that's okay. Because I think this is the case with, you see people who are like seriously successful. let's take YouTube for an example. You know, a lot of successful YouTubers, they'll have a kind of breakdown at some point because they feel like they're not allowed to have a bad mood because everyone's telling them, you know, you're in such a fortunate position, and they are. But I think some people start to believe themselves that they're not allowed to have a bad mood if other people envy the position that they're in. Which way should I walk here? So there's a famous quote. I actually don't know. I've forgotten who it was from. I just remember the quote. And I'm probably going to butcher it, to be honest. But I remember it. I remember the gist. The gist of the quote is, emotions, whether they're negative, whether they're positive, emotions are like strangers coming to your house. You know, they come and they go, and they never stay for forever. That's it. They come and they go. Very simple. But it gets the message across perfectly, I think. Sometimes it can be hard to get to grips with the fact that your bad mood is going to pass and you're going to start feeling better. And that is always the case. That is always the case. No matter how terrible you feel, it will always, you know, it's peaks and troughs. It will always be a stranger. It will turn itself around, so long as you, I guess, do something about it. You know, do things about it. Whether that's doing what I'm doing now, which is number one thing that I like to do when I'm in a bad mood, is to take a walk amongst nature. I'm sure a lot of other people like to do this as well, but for me it's like the best thing to do. When I'm going to start walking up steps here, I'm going to be knackered. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to be breathing too heavy whilst I'm trying to talk. Because it's incredibly hot right now. It's like 32 degrees. Yeah, for me, the worst thing to do is to have a bad mood and stay in the same place as where your mood started to turn into a negative place. For example, when I'm in my apartment, everything around me, everything I'm looking at, the place that I'm in is just, everything's reminding me of what I'm in a bad mood about. And there's something about nature. You know, I don't like to go and have an urban walk. Sometimes I do, because this park is a little bit far away. But for sure, the best thing to do is to have a walk amongst nature, for me anyway. So try that in the future. The second thing is kind of my acknowledgement about what it is. It's quite an abstract way of thinking about it, but kind of my try and objectively look at things and kind of zoom out a little bit. Like, say I kind of have this like picture in my head of seeing me and then kind of like zooming out in my head, like in my mind's eye, and then kind of looking at the bigger picture. And that really helps me, definitely, that really helps me, because oftentimes when you do that, you realize how small your issue is, and how really it's not an issue, it's not a problem. All it is a slight inconvenience in your life. But we have a tendency to magnify our own problems as if they're like, because we see ourselves as the center of the universe, you know. So yeah, try that. Zoom out, see the bigger picture, and understand that there's always someone in a way worse position than you. Actually, there's 4 things I can think of. The third one is, this is going to sound kind of morbid, and this might sound like something a lot of you don't want to do. However, I find this kind of helpful, and it's a tip that I took from a podcast from Jocko Willink with a guy who was in the Navy SEAL teams. You know, obviously seen and experienced a lot of terrible stuff. Which way am I going to walk? I'm going to go back down here. And he said, it kind of highlights what I said about things being inconveniences and not problems. He said, if you had a phone call right now, you picked up and someone's on the end of the line saying, look, you know, your mum, your brother, you know, a loved one, your best friend, whoever it may be, has just been in a car accident and they've sadly passed away. Of course, anything that you're currently worrying about would be like the most unimportant thing you could possibly imagine. If you had that call, like, that would be a real problem. That would be something that you need to grieve over. It's something you need to worry about. That makes your current issue look so tiny. And that kind of helps me. Because it just gives me this perspective that sometimes it's hard to look when you're fully involved, you know. The 4th thing, I've forgotten now. I've forgotten what the 4th thing is. Hold on, I'll come back to you. Of course, how could I forget? The 4th thing. This is more of one that's, I see this gets thrown around, this word gets thrown around, and it gets misused, I think. And people, it's kind of a taboo topic in a way, because people kind of think it's all woo-woo, and think it's just people who are spiritual, and, you know, a lot of people don't believe in it, but it really does have true value, and it does turn a lot of people's lives totally around. I'm not saying it will do that for you if you do it. You might already know what I'm on about. I'll just get cut to the chase here. Meditation. For me, I try to meditate as much as possible. Not as much as I want to do it, to be honest. You got to really get into a habit of it. I tend to meditate for, it sounds very precise, but 12 minutes a day. I found that 12 minutes is kind of just right. And this is more of like a long-winded process that will help you deal with negative emotion and help you kind of objectively analyze it in the present moment, instead of being like a quick relief tool. This is not something that, for me anyway, this is not something that I can be in a bad mood, go and meditate, and I'm going to be coming out of it like, oh, I'm in a great mood again. It's not like that. But however, it is definitely a valuable tool to use just in, you know, on occasion. Sit down for 15 minutes, try and, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's transcendental meditation, you'll have to look up those techniques. I'm not going to teach you about any techniques or whatever, but yeah, some form of meditation can be very helpful because it can kind of remove your mind from what your, you know, all-encompassing focus is on, and kind of just be in the present moment, and then you come out of it kind of a little bit revitalized, I guess. This video has already gone on for a hell of a long time, so I'm going to try and wrap this up now. But yeah, that's my take on a bad mood. And even now, coming out and doing this, I feel much better. I feel a lot better just having a walk amongst nature. When I put this camera down, I'm going to listen to a podcast walk around for a bit, take it all in, you know, and that'll help me out a bit. So I hope you were able to take some value from this video. Let me know down in the comments any techniques you use, or any sort of remedies that you use to alleviate negative emotion, because I'd love to hear it. Let me know also if you use any of these techniques or whatever, if you haven't before. I'd really love to hear. You know, as this is a new channel, it would be great if you could leave me some feedback, in any form. Subscribe, like it, drop a comment, all that good stuff. See you in the next one. Take care for now.